The killer. Caton remembers throwing up at that point after the dude brought the head up. He was wearing sunglasses, Caton said of the attacker. It was no big deal to him. What does that mean? It was no big deal to him to wear sunglasses, or no big deal to him to...
Well, didn't somebody say earlier that his eyes were hollow in that same article?
Yeah, I know. Well, so maybe that's why they look hollow, because he was wearing
he had sunglasses.
He's like, you're right. Based on that, he might not be the killer. It was just because he had eyeglasses on. The attacker turned away, sitting in the driver's seat, and tried to start the bus, but the engine was disabled. The dude was literally
going to drive the bus away.
Out of here, yeah.
So he's fucked up, but he's not so fucked up that he doesn't know he should try to get away.
Exactly. Now. He realizes, like, okay, I've done wrong. I should flee.
Yeah.
Since then, very few have seen Lee. He appeared in court in Portage la Prairie a few days after the gruesome killing, and just shook his head when asked if he wanted a lawyer. Please kill me, he said quietly. Wow. That's a dude who's just... why not honor it? Why not give him what he wants?
But, I mean, could you imagine, like, wouldn't you like to fucking know that dude's story from day one?
Do you think it's that? Do you think it's, like, all based on something that, you know, has been brewing in him since birth? Or do you think it's just, like, honestly, I can't tell you. To me, like, I would look for the most... Like, if I'm certainly not saying this is what happened, but, like, you try to fucking rationalize this situation because it's just so beyond the pale. It's just so foreign. So I don't know if this is what happened, but, and this wouldn't make it right, but in trying to find any logic to apply to it, maybe one person made a pass at another person and the other person didn't take kindly to it. Or one person
that was one of my thoughts,
made a pass at another person, and the other dude was like, it could have gone either way. Either Stabby made a pass at fucking Sleepy McGee, and Sleepy McGee was like, the fuck off me.
Right.
And then fucking, that was enough to trigger Stabby. Or Buddy fucking was like, hey, Stabby, and he grabbed his dick, and then Stabby.
Seems unlikely.
Yeah.
You think of it more as Stabby being the aggressor.
Being like, let me touch it. And the guy's like,
yeah, come on, you're 22. Pretend it's like a video game.
Totally. And then Stabby's just like, nobody could know, so I'm going to cover up my...
I got to keep this quiet.
Yeah, I gotta fucking get rid of this quick. I mean, that's the only way that I could possibly, like... Either that or if they found some tie between the two. Like, it turned out that, you know, fucking this dude owed that dude money.
Right.
Which would be worse, being killed by your dad or being killed by your dad after he lectured you?
Yeah, probably the lecturing. I would just be like, save it. What the fuck? What's the point?
But, I mean, you got to look at it this way. During the lecture, you got a couple seconds more of life.
Right.
So...
Yeah, but being spent in one of my least favorite ways.
but in a weird way, it would suddenly make so much sense. Like, okay, like, I get it. We didn't have a great relationship because my dad is a homicidal maniac. Like, he's fucking pathologically insane. He's a sociopath. I get it now.
Right.
So you go, like, with closure.
All that behavior suddenly makes sense.
Yes.
And there's the comfort of at least something familiar in those wildly unfamiliar surroundings, like him pointing a gun and all that shit. You're like, at least I could fucking identify with the lecture.
Totally. You're like,
makes sense.
Wait, okay, we are still in the real world. But anyway, so you live across the street from Penta.
And they called the house and they said, their daughter called the house and they said, hey, my parents haven't picked up their phone for like the last 8 or 9 hours. Would you mind running over there and, you know, making sure everything's okay?
And you're like, well, to be honest, yeah, I would. I don't want to get involved in your little domestic drama.
Yeah. I'm like, call Wayne, man.
Yeah,
Wayne lives down.
Not for nothing, but I've always felt that I kind of have a silent contract with your parents, and that is, I don't get up in their fucking business, and they don't get up in my business.
It's worked that way for so long.
Yeah, now you're really asking me to disrupt it all, and now I got to get involved, and fuck. Did you do it?
I didn't do it. I would have, though, because I like the Pentas a lot.
Right, you do like them.
Really like them. Really nice people. But I did not go over. Edgar went over and talked to him. They were fine. And he came back and told Pam. And then Pam did this weird thing because she had promised the Penta's daughter she would call back.
Right.
And so when Edgar comes back, he's like, oh, they're okay. You know, the phone was just off the hook. And he goes, you're going to call Irma? She was the one who called over. And Pam's like, oh, they'll probably call her. I'm just like, I had to speak up, man. I was just like, you just fucking said you would call. Like, it's literally dialing, like, you gotta dial the area code now, so right. It's fucking 10 pushes of a button and making good on the promise you fucking made not 5 minutes ago. Like,
and you felt the need to say this?
I did. I was like, I think it's
you were
fucked
not
up
part
that you
of the
wouldn't
situation call. Until, well, you were part of it as much as you fielded the original call.
But no, I didn't even feel the original call.
So you're not a part of this at all.
I'm a bystander listening from another room.
About to conclude, like relatively comfortably, happily, nobody's dead. Right. All of a sudden, you're like, "You fucking liar! You just said you would do something." Like you
said,
yes, you just that moment to get involved.
I did. And I was like,
could not have gone over well.
I think it's fucked up that you wouldn't call. And no, you know what? It went over like, she was like, well, they're probably going to call. I was like, but what if they don't? I was like, then Irma's going to sit there still worrying.
Right.
Just do it. And so she calls, and the fucking Pentas hadn't called her.
They had?
So, yeah, no, they hadn't. So it was only thanks to me and my intervention that they fucking were all like, okay, everything's all right.
That Irma could
It was really Irma, yeah, because the Pentas had no idea anything was wrong. But at any rate, so, like, he goes over, he comes back, and he's like, all that ensues.
Uh-huh.
But I started wondering later, I was like, what if when he came running back and he's like, call 911, somebody killed the Pentas. And he is, like, you know, it's a fucking, like, grisly scene, like, basically like the bus and shit.
Yeah, but your wheels start turning and you're like...
And I'm just like...
Did somebody kill them, Edgar?
Yeah, and like, what if...
did you kill them?
Yeah, and like, what if I felt, like, you know...
Like, that was a pretty good cover. Like, he gets a phone call of like, my parents won't answer the phone. Can you go check on them? He's like, okay. And he goes over there and quietly, calmly grabs a hatchet from in their garage, steps into their house, swings it full into them.
He's like that black dude coming out of the club at Mark London. It's a fucking...
He's like Nicholson in The Shining, and Luke Penta is like a version of Scatman Crothers that was just sitting in a chair. And your old man just like... And then I guess he's got to quick pull it out of the dude's chest.
Right.
To swing around and get Rose.
Yeah, like he
otherwise she's
her.
running into the street or trying to hit him or something.
Right. And Rose got
Then he gets her, puts her down, cuts both their heads off, gives himself what? How long does he give himself to, like, he's finally done it. He finally took a life after all these years of thinking about it, dreaming about it. He finally killed somebody. How long does he revel in it before he's like, okay, I got to get back in the present, got to hide the body?
I would say no longer than 2 minutes.
Only 2 minutes he affords himself?
I mean, because you got to think, I mean, if you're going to think ahead, like...
And
like
this wasn't thinking ahead. This was like...
This presented itself.
This was an opportunity that, like, Baphomet rose from the depths, pointed at him and said... It's your time, Edgar. And he was just like, I understand, Lord. And proceeded across the street so quietly.
Well, that's a weird way to say, I'll see you in a minute.
That's really crazy. So, it having not presented itself to him prior, he's working with this as it happens.
Right. Oh, I know.
So, what he feels like is he's got a cover. Like, I went over there... And this is what I found.
Right.
And I tried to resuscitate him, and that's how I got blood on my clothes. I pulled the axe out of one of them, and that's why my fingerprints are on the axe. But, like, call the police. I found them.
Right.
But really, he did it. That's the only approach you can take. I mean, you can get back there and then call up Irma and be like, they're fine. But sooner or later, she's going to keep calling them. They're not going to answer.
Right. Well, he would. I mean, if he did it, he would have to. Yeah, that's the natural follow. It's just like, like call 911, then call Irma and tell her to get over here.
Irma was cursed with the worst name.
Irma, yeah, that's a tough one.
Irma's a tough name to. I mean, is it short for anything?
Irma-licious. I think that's her full Christian.
Yeah, Irma. You're just Irma.
But she was older, so I don't really remember her so much. What's up, Big Irm? I want my money, Smokey.